let's talk about the immense, unrelenting pressure that law enforcement officers face every single day. It's a kind of stress most of us can barely even imagine. So, what if there was a technology that could actually help manage that burden? Well, today we're going to dive into a fascinating scientific pilot study that explored that very idea.
All right, so let's really set the scene here. Try to imagine being in a constant state of high alert. That's the world of a security or patrol officer. Every single call, every interaction, it's totally unpredictable and the stakes are incredibly high. This isn't just a tough day at the office. It's a daily reality that, as you can imagine, takes a very heavy toll.
And that toll, it shows up in some really specific and damaging ways. We're talking about things like anxiety, depression, and hostility becoming a standard part of the job for so many. It creates this huge, measurable cost to their well-being. Now, what's really interesting is how this stress actually shows itself. The study zeroed in on these specific symptoms. And it's not just about feeling stressed out, right? We're talking about a whole cascade of issues, from constant anxiety and disorganized thoughts to actual physical pain. That's what scientists call somatization. So, faced with this really serious problem, researchers wanted to find a solution, an effective intervention. They set up what's known as a pilot study. Think of it like a small-scale preliminary test to see if a potential solution works before you go all in on a huge investigation. And for this one, they worked with a group of officers from a rural sheriff's department. So how'd they do it? The design was actually pretty simple and smart. They recruited a group of officers, gave them 20 sessions of the treatment, and then measured 14 different stress symptoms both before and after to see what changed, if anything.
Okay, so let's get into the technology at the heart of this study, microcurrent stimulation. Now, it might sound complicated, but the core idea is actually surprisingly simple. Let's break down exactly how it works.
It's called CES, which stands for cranial electrotherapy stimulation. And what that basically means is that it applies these really gentle electrical impulses to the brain through simple little ear clip electrodes. The key idea here is that it's designed to help the brain get back to its own natural, healthy equilibrium. Think of it like this: an officer's nervous system is constantly revving, like an engine that's always in the red zone. CES acts kind of like a coolant, just gently calming that whole system down. You could even say it helps reduce this emotional inflammation in the brain. For an officer, this could mean shifting from a state of constant high alert to a place where they can think more clearly and respond more calmly, even under intense pressure. So, what is this gentle stimulation actually doing? Well, it calms that overactive nervous system, it helps restore balance right down at the cellular level in the brain, and it allows the body to finally let go of all that built-up tension. The end result? A better mood, less irritability, and just an overall boost to both their physical and emotional well-being. Okay, so that's the theory. But did it actually work? This is the most important part, the results. Let's see what the data actually showed about this treatment. The results were pretty striking. Out of the 14 stress symptoms the researchers were tracking, the officers who got the treatment saw significant reductions in 11 of them. Now, this wasn't just some minor change. This was a broad, substantial improvement across the board. This chart right here really shows one of the key findings. Just look at that drop in hostility scores. This is so important because it points directly to improved emotional regulation, which is an absolutely critical skill for anyone, but especially for officers in those high-pressure situations. And we see the exact same pattern for anxiety. What's even more telling is that the study used 2 separate scales to measure anxiety, and it found significant drops on both of them. That makes this finding even stronger. You can just see that clear difference before and after the treatment. And here we go again with the results for depression. Once more, a really significant decrease. The study's own summary pointed to this as one of the most important findings, showing the treatment's powerful effect on mood disorders that are so often tied to chronic stress. But it's not just about the numbers and charts. A quote like this from one of the officers who actually participated, that's what really brings the data to life. It's a personal testament to feeling calmer, less irritable, and finally breaking free from that cycle of negative thoughts. That's the real-world impact we're talking about. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, the findings from this pilot study point toward a really promising new tool, one that could help improve officer wellness on a truly fundamental level.
The bottom line is this. The study gives us clear evidence that this microcurrent therapy is an effective, non-drug tool. It's successfully tackled key indicators of severe stress, like anxiety, depression, and hostility, and that led to better emotional and physical health for these officers. And that leaves us with a really powerful question for the future. As we search for better ways to support the mental health of our first responders, could a technology like this become a standard, go-to part of their wellness and care toolkit? It's definitely something to think about.